Yeah, Chris, are you calling on Caligiuri to repudiate the ad?
I'm going to call loud and clear to Sam Caligiuri to spend a little portion of his afternoon today calling up the board of directors, which is a public list. Sam Caligiuri should call on the American Action Network to take this ad down until they disclose who's paying for it. Listen. His constituents in his state Senate district, as well as my constituents throughout the 5th District, deserve to know who's paying for this ad, deserve to know who's trying to buy this election. At the very least, Sam Caligiuri should call on this organization to pull down this ad until they're willing to stand behind it.
Chris, to what extent do you feel that you'd be responsible for the content of an ad run by the DCCC or your fellow Democrats? Should they be held responsible for ads run by independent groups, whether it's a DCCC or somebody else?
Well, you can see who contributes to the DCCC. The list of contributors to a national party organization is public. The problem here is that we have no idea who's paying for these ads. This is a $1 million ad buy over the course of 10 days. That almost equals the entire TV purchase for our campaign. This is one of the biggest TV buys that this district has ever seen. And what we deserve to know is who's standing behind it. We know why they don't want to admit who's funding it. Because if we knew who's funding it, we'd know what the true agenda behind the Caligiuri campaign is. We'd know what the true agenda behind these shadowy groups is. And so I want to know. And I think that that's what the voters want as well.
That's right.
Used to be that Republicans and Democrats, when it came to campaign finance reform, at least agreed that sunlight was a good thing. Now, Republicans were all for sunlight until putting sunlight on their allies' ads would disadvantage their cause. So I think it's pretty astonishing that Senator Caligiuri won't, at the very least, call on this organization to take down the ad until they disclose their contributors, and why he won't support the Disclose Act. The Disclose Act is a piece of federal legislation that was passed by the House of Representatives that would require groups like AAN to simply disclose who their donors are, like the Democratic National Committee does, like the Republican National Committee does, and like our political campaigns do. Sam Caligiuri should publicly support the disclosure of donations to these groups. I think that's an issue that the vast majority of Republicans and Democrats in this district agree on.
Would you support a strict-down Disclose Act? Some Republicans say their objections are based not on the idea of the transparency for these groups, but some of the other provisions, because the Act did, as you know, go into more areas.
I think Sam Caligiuri and his allies oppose the Disclose Act because if people knew who was running these ads, they'd know what the agenda of Caligiuri and his allies are. So I don't think that, I think that, this is a classic tactic, that if you change the bill, well, then we'll support it. I think that Sam Caligiuri and his allies have a fundamental problem with sunlight on these political ads because they're being run by their supporters and allies.
Congressman, they came in here with these because they think it's a close race, and Caligiuri probably had nothing to do with it. They just think you're vulnerable. That's why they're bringing it in. What's wrong about the charges in the television commercial?
Well, the charges in the commercial are ridiculous. And listen, I think that voters in this district...
Well, can you rebut them?
Well, I will. I think voters in this district are going to see through the charges in that ad. There is no provision in the health care bill that provides benefits for illegal immigrants. That's been disputed and discounted. And frankly, I would suggest that some stations should consider pulling down the ad because of that outright fabrication. The notion that I support giving Viagra to sex offenders is laughable, and does not pass the smell test. And the reductions in Medicare spending expand the longevity of the program by 10 years and contribute to the reduction of the deficit by $130 billion. And it does so by taking money out of the pockets of for-profit insurance and drug companies, not at the expense of benefits. And listen, we've seen these kind of ads. All the people behind me and as well the press who are assembled today will remember Nancy Johnson's closing ad in 2006 when she accused me of being a friend of everyone from sex offenders to drug dealers. It frankly widened the margin of victory in that race because people found that ad so offensive. I think the same thing is going to happen with respect to this ad. I think people are going to see through it, both with respect to who's trying to influence this election and to the audacity of the charges that they're making. And I think that this ad can backfire in a multiple number of ways, both with respect to the ridiculous message that it seeks to purport, but also with respect to the incredible galvanizing of support that it's causing.
Isn't this somewhat of a cookie-cutter ad, though? Aren't they using a similar ad against Harry Reid?
Listen, I know that this group announced that they were running $22 million of ads in 19 races, and so I would suspect that some version of this ad is running in races around the country. Listen, the billionaires and Wall Street bankers who are behind this bill, behind this ad, are fronting the money for political reasons. They do see an opportunity to win back the House of Representatives and return to the Bush economic agenda that benefited them and screwed all the rest of us. I think that they do see an opportunity to win this race. They see an opportunity to win this race and about 20 others that would return control of the House of Representatives for the policies that benefit them and not us.
I don't believe I've quite ever seen you quite so wound up. This reminds me of why I got involved in politics in the first place. Right? I ran for office 4 years ago because I thought we had lost control of this country. That a handful of the super rich and the landed corporate interests had stolen our government from the rest of us. So yes, I am more passionate about the next 2 weeks of this election than I've been ever before in my life.